All set.
All right. My name is Darius Shanfar, and I am the Chair of the Finance Committee for the City of Albany Industrial Development Agency. Here today we have myself, Tracy Metzger, Lloyd Stewart, Anthony Gaddy. That is a quorum for the Finance Committee. Is myself, Tracy Metzger, and Lloyd are here.
It's all about us, Darius.
It's all about us. That's right. The first order of business is our minutes having been previously distributed. I call for a motion to dispense with the reading and accept them as presented.
So moved.
Tracy, second. Lloyd, all right. Is there any discussion, any additions, deletions, corrections? All right. All those in favor of accepting the minutes as presented, say aye.
Aye.
All right. Next order of business is the report from the Chief Financial Officer, quarterly budget report. Mark?
Thanks, Gary. So, the second quarter financial statement. So as you see in the second quarter, revenues were only about 9,000 versus a budget of 424,000, with expenses being 215,000 versus budgeted expenses of 388,000. So with that, we did have a loss in the second quarter of about 206,000 versus a positive budget of 35,858. As you can see, the revenue was driving that major difference there. And for year to date, same thing. It's pretty much the same story up through June. Revenues were 152,000 versus a budget of 581, with total expenses being 436,000 versus a budgeted 600,000. So with that, we had a loss of 283,000. Just to note, we do expect revenues to pick up in the third and fourth quarters. We're still projecting about $1.2 million in fee revenue to come into the agency by the end of the year.
Okay, so we expect our revenue actually to be greater than our budgeted revenue.
Correct, at this point.
Good news, yeah.
Perfect. All right. Next order of business, we have two projects that are on the docket for today for possible positive, negative recommendations for approving resolutions. One is 66 State Street Partners, and the other is 61 North Pearl Partners, with whom we just had a public hearing with no public comment. So I'd ask Tom to just introduce the projects a little bit again, and we can hear from the developers after that.
Thank you, and I'm going to turn it over to Andy.
Okay.
Thank you. As Darius noted, a public hearing was just held for the following project, 66 State Partners LP. And as noted by Tom, the ownership structure changed slightly. I'm going to run through a project summary and turn the floor back over to Joe to give a little detail on that. The project involves the proposed historic redevelopment of an approximate 40,000 square foot structure at 66 State into 27 market rate residential apartments and approximately 10,300 square feet of commercial space on the ground floor. The project will utilize historic tax credits and is requesting only sales and mortgage recording tax exemptions through the agency. The estimated investment is $7.3 million. Again, for comparative purposes, while this project is not requesting real property tax abatements through the agency, I'll run through briefly the community benefits of the projects to give us a sense of comparison. Had the project been evaluated through the filter, had it requested real property tax exemptions. Target geography, the project is located downtown in a high vacancy census tract within the downtown bid and within the impact downtown neighborhood plan. Identified priority, the project involves the historic preservation of the property, engages a vacant property, and qualifies as a downtown residential project. The project also supports multiple initiatives in the Albany 2030 plan. Under identified growth area, the proposed project involves the conversion of the property to a residential use. Job creation, the project is committing to the creation of one permanent job and approximately 50 construction jobs. And again, the investment is slated to be more than $7 million. With that, I will turn
the floor over to the applicant to answer any questions.
Should I sit down here? Is that okay?
Yes.
So, as Andy mentioned, this is a historic tax credit project, and I won't really give the overview of the project again. Simply, that change in ownership structure was just due to, we took on some minor investors as part of the tax credit process. So we changed it from an LLC to a limited partnership, where the LLC actually became the general partner in that LP. So it's still a Redburn project. We are still the major player in this. We just took on some small investors as part of the tax credit.
I saw the org chart. And it's,
Yeah,
you
it's-
gotta have that like up on the wall.
Detailed.
Yeah, it's they've gotten very complex. But yeah, you guys have the org charts, and we're happy to answer any questions you might have on the details of that.
I just want to say thank you for taking this one on in particular. This building's been vacant for what, at least a decade, not longer.
Yeah, we're getting some mixed stories on how long it's actually been vacant. Some people say 5 years, 10 years.
It's at least 10.
Yeah.
It's at least
I
10.
tell you what though, for being vacant for that long, it's in good shape. You know, the bones are good. Roof needs some work, but we'll be okay.
It's just, I think, a very challenging building, given the lack of windows and the depth of the building. So very appreciative that you continue to transform our city.
We're happy to be here.
Yeah, historic redevelopment and urban infill is always exciting for me. I don't live an otherwise very exciting life, I think, but it's always exciting for me to see. Anybody have any other questions or issues? I don't know if we need to go through the ownership chart with Joe or not.
I think we're
I think
fine.
we're fine. Yeah, okay, terrific. So with that, I guess if there's no further questions, then I would ask for a motion for a positive recommendation for the approving resolution to put this in front of the IDA board as a whole.
So moved.
Tracy, second? Lloyd? Yep. Lloyd, second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. One down. Second one.
He's holding his breath.
61 North Pearl Street. 61 North Pearl Partners LP. So Andy will run through this one as well.
Absolutely. We will run through the same process here. Again, Joe is here and will speak to a very similar ownership structural change for 61 North Pearl Partners LP. The project involves the proposed historic redevelopment of an approximate 39,700 square foot structure at 61 North Pearl Street into 15 market rate residential apartment units while maintaining approximately 13,000 square feet of commercial space. And again, this project will also be utilizing historic tax credits and has requested only sales and mortgage recording tax exemptions through the agency. The estimated investment is $4.7 million. And just as we did for the previous project, for comparative purposes, we will run through the community benefits that the completion of this project will be affording the city and its residents. Under target geography, the project is located downtown in a high vacancy census tract within the downtown bid and within the impact downtown neighborhood plan. Identified priority: the project involves the historic preservation of the property and qualifies as a downtown residential project. Project also supports multiple initiatives within the Albany 2030 plan. Identified growth area: the proposed project involves the conversion of the property to a residential use. And under job creation, the proposed project is committing to the retention of 8 permanent jobs and the creation of approximately 25 construction jobs. And as mentioned previously, the investment for this project is approximately $4 million. With that, I will turn the floor back over to the applicant to answer any questions.
Thank you, Randy. I am here to answer any questions. I will just note again, as with the last project, this is a historic tax credit project. And as part of that piece, we took on some minor investors. That's the reason for the ownership structure change. Again, where the original applicant, 61 North Pearl LLC, became the general partner in the limited partnership. And I believe you have that organization structure chart too.
Great. Any questions or any? No? for those listening at home, this is the property where Jillian's used to be.
Correct.
And again, from my perspective, historic redevelopment and urban infill, which is what we need to get our city to a place where it's much better. Being no other questions or comments or anything else, then I call for a motion for positive recommendation for approving resolutions for 61 North Pearl Partners.
So moved.
Tracy?
Yes.
Lloyd, second? Yes? All those in favor? Aye. All right, 2 down.
Thank you
All right.
very much.
It was great to be here in person.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks to see you.
Next on the docket today are 2 newer projects for us. One is TR Hackett LLC, and the next is 191 North Pearl LLC. So I will turn it over to Andy for opening salvo on TR Hackett.
Great. We'll run through a summation of the project and again, turn the floor over to the development team to answer any questions. The project is located at 42 and 47 Besh Ave, which is close to the intersection of Hackett and Holland Avenue. The project proposes to construct approximate 60,000 square foot, 4-story market rate apartment complex containing approximately 39 residential units. The currently vacant 3/4 of an acre project site will also include approximately 44 off-street covered parking spaces. Next, we'll run through the real property benefit summary over the duration of the requested assistance. And for the record, this project is requesting mortgage recording tax exemptions, sales tax exemptions, and real property tax exemptions. The revenue gain to the taxing jurisdictions, as it stands now over the 20 years at status quo, would be just over $200,000. The project impact via pilot payments is close to $1.6 million with a net benefit of just under $1.4 million. The property value increase from the current assessed value as is to the anticipated future value is a net increase of $3.7 million to a total anticipated future value of just under $4 million. The estimated investment is approximately $6.8 million. And we're going to finish this summary and go through an in-depth analysis of the community benefits as the project requested an abatement schedule through the project evaluation and assistance framework and was analyzed as such. So we will do that shortly. As with all projects, moving on to page 2, as with all projects requesting real property tax abatements through the agency, we request that an in-plan economic impact analysis be conducted by the Capital District Regional Planning Commission. You can see a portion of that here. A couple things of note that are a little different than we usually see. This project is not projecting to create any full-time employment. So the temporary construction impact was what the bulk of the in-plan analysis analyzed. It speaks to the direct, indirect, and induced effects that will have. You can see that overall output is estimated to be 9 million. What you will also see, the average annual employment of about 141 construction jobs is lower than the projected total by the developer. This is due to a couple things, and the applicant will speak to that momentarily. In-plan has a limited ability to quantify variables or extraordinary circumstances involving the construction or site work for projects of a certain size, which there were with this project that the development team will speak to. And also, as noted, the in-plan reflects construction jobs on an average annual basis. So that is the reason why that number is lower there. And lastly, the requested pilot, the applicant is entering into a pilot agreement request with the agency consistent with the project evaluation and assistance framework for projects with an estimated improved assessed value per unit exceeding 100,000 per unit. In short, the applicant is not requesting a deviation in assistance outside of what the framework provides for.
Can we go through the
Absolutely.
matrix? Yes.
Yeah, I actually, could you just explain a little bit more about this, the employment impact analysis? Is this saying actually that there's a $9 million impact
Over the course of construction,
only over the course of construction?
Correct.
That value is 9 million?
correct.
And what's in that 9 million?
It's based on the direct effect, the actual cost of construction is factored in, the additional spending on materials, the spending that the workers will do on site, and basically trying to factor in a little bit of the continued flow of the construction money into the surrounding economy.
I just find it interesting when we're just talking about construction. To see a number like that is so significant.
It is.
Thank you.
McDonald's is right next door. Any questions or? All right, you want to go through the?
Absolutely. So we will run through point by point for how this project achieved eligibility via 10 points for real property tax abatement schedules through the project evaluation and assistance framework. Starting at the top, target geography. The project is located within a neighborhood plan district. In this instance, it is the Midtown Colleges and University Study Plan. Community catalyst, tax exempt vacant. Currently, the site was vacant land. Community catalyst was a point, and again, the applicant will speak in more detail.
Hang on 1 second.
Absolutely.
Page 17 of the application that you have in there, I don't think that we have the summary sheet materials in front of you this morning unless I missed it. It looks like a couple other folks.
Should be.
I see a lot of flipping.
Yeah, I see it, 17.
Yeah, if you take a look at 17, it's basically the same thing. I don't think that
be-
there's anything.
Very last, it's not.
It's not there, I'll just go ahead.
We could print it too.
Did anything change from what the applicant selected on their?
No, no,
Take a look at page 17.
absolutely.
Oh, there is one, right?
No, it's towards the end. Give everybody a moment to get their place.
Aha.
If you can't find it and would like it, we can get you a copy quickly too.
All right. I think we're on to the community catalyst point, and one of the points that's always brought up with any sort of development in this section of town is water. And how the sewers are gonna be able to handle the development, and you can speak to.
Sure. I'll speak briefly to this. The project is going to include the installation of approximately 500 yards of sidewalk connections on the east side of Hackett, and with additional, a crosswalk will be installed. Darius, to your point, 2 50,000 gallon retention tanks will also be installed on site. And there's additional repairs to existing city infrastructure that will need to be done to help mitigate the combined sewage overflows and the flooding in that area, which also speaks somewhat to the larger than expected construction jobs that will be on site. Under identified growth area, the project received a point for being located in an existing cluster, which is medical. For construction jobs, the project received 4 cumulative points for an estimated 260 construction jobs throughout construction on site. The project received a point for the investment level. And additionally, the community commitment, the applicant has committed to regional labor, and that would be the utilization of 90% regional labor for construction jobs. Yes, Lloyd.
Yeah, I noticed, not only with this application, but a number of the other ones. I understand that you don't necessarily have to deal with every item that's on there, in terms of saying what you're gonna commit in terms of community benefit. Is it based on the city's regulation that there is a consideration of MWBE and EU requirements in terms of people to be hired? Or is it just that they hire who they want? There is no regulation or recommendation or requirement that there be some figure with respect to MWBE or whatever.
The city's policy refers specifically to municipal projects, so projects that are done directly by the city of Albany. Often projects that come to us will have outside New York State assistance that come with requirements as well, and sometimes those are reflected. But that city policy applies only to municipal projects.
I see, so it would not apply in this case. So there is no requirement for MWBE?
There is no requirement. Correct.
But it is listed as a community commitment, because in some cases, the project needs to be incentivized in order to be able to get their project approved. And we obviously are looking to encourage, but we don't require.
That's interesting.
Any other questions at this point? Anything else that you want to?
Certainly, I'd like to note that as part of the materials, the board was provided with the staff financial analysis of the project as well. We also have that printed out here with us today to distribute if we would like to discuss that in detail. We can do that.
So typically for this meeting, I know it's been a long time since we've been in person, but typically we would go into executive session to discuss the financial history of an organization, to look at the project's pro forma, be able to answer any specific financial questions related to the project. As Andy mentioned, you also have the pilot analysis in front of you that shows the pilot payments year over year throughout the term of the requested pilot. For that, if we'd want to get into any specifics about the finances for the project directly, we'd want to go into executive session for that.
I don't have any questions at this point in time, but if anybody else does.
Yeah, I don't either. I've reviewed the pro forma.
Yep.
No need to go into executive session from my perspective.
Right.
So I think I'd state for the record, and Andy may have done this already, and I probably just missed it as I was in my head. But the staff has done the full workup of the project's financial details. Again, as Andy mentioned, you do have that in your packet. Staff didn't find anything that was out of the ordinary. They had worked back and forth with the applicant to ensure the accuracy of all of the details, and the project returns with the requested pilot fell within the normal range that allows the project to be able to move forward financially.
I also point out that I think we did at the beginning that this would lead to an estimated net benefit to city taxpayers of almost $1.4 million over the course of the pilot agreement, which is a significant jump in revenue as well as valuation of the property. So, anything else from us here? Do you want to hear from the developers and the applicants a little bit more about the project?
Sure, hi, thank you.
Floor is
everybody.
yours.
Welcome back.
Good to be back, good to be in person, and good to be back again, doing another project within the city of Albany, and working with the team. Working backward, very in-depth, as even opposed to the last two times when we were the first project through the new framework. It's even gotten more intense and more questions, and kudos to Andrew, he's very, very detailed oriented. So it took a lot of extra time, which is worthwhile. To your point, for the hiring of the different groups, it's harder today to figure out who we're going to use for projects than it was 2 years ago because of the pandemic and pricing But we do strive to utilize any groups that meet that requirement, and give them special benefit as well. If there's something equal, they will win that project. So we've been working hard to do that, and we accomplished that on our last two projects as well. Huh? We had several different minority-owned businesses that were subs into the project. So I don't have the control of the overall project, but it wasn't a requirement, but we did hire those groups to do the work on the project.
You provide those records if necessary.
Yeah, and we do as an audit. Again, we weren't required, but in the audit, we have all the different groups that we use. So we strive to do that. It's harder today because we don't know how pricing is going to be and if they're staffed. Different groups don't have the staff they used to have. Hopefully that'll come back in the fall when this clears up. To your point, it's not just McDonald's, it's Delaware Ave. And to the other point, the sidewalks are to provide walkability to go all the way around to Delaware Ave, which there isn't a sidewalk there on that vacant property. And the crosswalk goes to the walkability and cyclability for the people that get to work, because they can crosswalk onto that bike path, which was already established a few years ago.
Are you gonna be stairs when you look up the hill?
No.
Okay.
That's why it's a walk around.
I see, okay.
But there really isn't a stairs there now. People may do it, and it's not safe to do that anyway.
No.
But you can use an electric scooter.
Yeah, yeah, you can come right around with it. And again, across the street for walkability. There's a lot of traffic that we're, obviously we're out with the hospital that's out on the other side. We have 44 spots more than 1-to-1. So we're hoping that people who commute to the hospital or businesses nearby move into Albany from the outside and stop commuting and walk. That's been we've had success on Dana Ave, on those two projects, so we're hoping we have the same success here.
You are seeing that in the other
Absolutely.
projects that people
Oh,
are?
you can go at 5:30 every morning and watch people with different colored scrubs go to work,
Okay.
walk, and that's what they do. And the cars don't, if they leave on weekends, the garage would be empty, they go away, but they're here during the week and walk. They're not, the garage isn't used too often.
It's working.
And believe it or not, the elevator's not used that often. I can't believe
That's healthy.
I feel guilty. I use the elevator. I'm like the old man of the building, I guess. But it's a really young, vibrant crowd, and it's interesting. The demographics have been sort of, I'd say, 21 to 35.
Can you talk a little bit for those watching at home? Can you talk a little bit about the water retention
That
tanks?
was right next. I was
Yeah.
coming right around to the water.
Yeah.
Known, warned not to do it. Got the video sent to me by many people of every August, there's the flood up to here. Well, one of the things we found when we got on the property is that there's two current detention, it's a current detention basin that you couldn't even see. So we actually literally just dug that out first, and the city asked us to put the bands around it, put the silt paper in. So we did that last week, and we found there's a third actual basin that the city has on the other side that is completely filled. The city has been aware, and they will have it fixed within the next week, they said. Not to stay on them for that, but it's on the other side, and we want all three basins cleared. Then we're creating two major detention centers, one underneath the building like we've done on other properties, but double the size of normal, and then one up the hill on where the current parking lot is. So we're gonna dig that out, put it underground, and then we're gonna increase the flow mechanisms to make sure that the water flows from the centers and holds it back like it's supposed to, so we can get better flow into the major sewer area. So I think just with those cleanups alone, the water issue and then should subside a little bit, and then we can also address it if that doesn't take care of the problem. The building will be a little higher, and if that doesn't, we can try to figure out other ways working with the water department to alleviate any of that flash flooding, especially in the first week of August, which we'll see. But, and then that ties into the jobs report that you had. The 141 versus the higher number that we have, almost another 100 plus, is to fix this problem. So the reason that land hadn't been developed is because it's on a hill, and it's going to take a lot of shoring. And actually, we would have started shoring, but we actually, given what happened, unfortunately, in Miami, we hired a full report from a firm in New York City that specializes in shoring for this site and for Pearl Street. So one report, different reports to stamp it and make sure we're doing the shoring and the foundations. We already had that from our engineers. They're validating that and making any more recommendations
Thank you.
to follow the pattern and make sure that hill and everything else in the neighborhood stays compact. And for me, I didn't want any, we always want to do it, so I don't really think about them. I build them to have them run and work within the city.
You've already started clearing
Cleared the trees, and everybody's like, why'd you clear trees before this? The shoring guys wanted to see the land. And we left up top, there's no danger, we left the stumps up top, the hill, but we wanted to see the actual topography without all that shrubbery, because it had been overgrown. And then the city said, well, why don't you do this? And then, well, I don't have the building permit. There's a process that this is a little bit a different animal because of all but I've been working with them. As soon as they said, yes, you can go ahead, then we put the silt paper and this, and we'll have the fencing up by Monday for the surrounding.
Any consolation, my kids think it's a good idea.
Yeah, I just, it's just another nice, I think, project. It'll look just like the other ones, same high-end finishes, same, and we have wait list for our buildings, so the demand is there. And the parking's fully, exactly utilized for the tenants. So we have in those buildings, the right amount of spaces for the people, because we do have people that don't even bring their cars on weekends. And they go home to get them on weekends, and they live there and don't even bring a car. So this one, we expect people more, because it's a little less in the city, to have cars. That's why we double the size of the garage, which actually causes a lot of structural extra money, and that's where the construction jobs come in. It's gonna take a lot of people to dig that out. And safely.
Any other questions from anybody? All right. Well, I would then ask for a motion for positive recommendation for the public hearing resolution.
So moved.
Tracy, second. Lloyd? I could do it, I suppose. Second, Lloyd. All those in favor? Aye. All right. Next project. 191 North Pearl. So this is another bit of a redevelopment project, more urban infill. Andy, do you want to take us through it?
Absolutely. And I also neglected to mention for the last project that both of these projects were previously introduced at the Finance Committee last month as well, just for the record.
Right.
191 North Pearl LLC is a project at the corner of Wilson and North Pearl Street in downtown Albany. This project proposes to construct approximately 2,000 square foot, 4-story market rate apartment complex containing approximately 18 market rate residential units. The currently vacant parcel will include approximately 15 off-street covered parking spaces. We'll run through the estimated project's real property benefit summary over. Yes, Lloyd.
Same block is the Palace, that corner.
Actually, the new Cap Rock.
It's kitty corner. So the Palace, there's a bunch of vacant lots, and then it's kitty corner from those vacant lots.
Right across from the entrance and exit to the Fed Building's parking lot. This benefit summary is inclusive of the 20 years that would be encompassed by the requested pilot. The revenue gain to taxing jurisdictions over 20 years, the status quo is approximately $77,000. The projected pilot payments equate to approximately $666,000 for a net benefit of just under $590,000. Current assessed value of the site is just over $60,000. The anticipated future value is $1.8 million for a net increase of approximately $1.75 million. Again, we will run through in depth the community benefits summary momentarily. Moving on to page 2. As we discussed for the previous project, since this project is requesting real property tax exemptions through the project evaluation and assistance framework, the agency has requested an in-plan economic impact analysis conducted by Capital District Regional Planning Commission. Similarly to the previous project, the temporary construction impact is what was analyzed in lieu of the creation of permanent jobs on site. Again, the chart here outlines the expected direct, indirect, and induced effect with a total output of approximately $4.5 million. Similarly to what we noted previously, the total average annual employment is slightly lower than what is expected and represented within the application. And again, we will ask the development team to speak to that momentarily. Coming down, the requested pilot entails the applicant entering into an agreement with the agency consistent with the agency's project evaluation and assistance framework for projects with an estimated improved assessed value per unit exceeding $100,000. There is no deviation outside of what the framework provides for being requested at this time. Any questions or comments?
Anybody, yeah, any questions, anybody?
Not for me.
Want to run through the project evaluation?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay.
And again, you'll find that behind the application, just before you get to the site, the photos and site plans.
Give everybody a second to get to it.
So this is on our way from Clinton Avenue, go past the Palace Theater. It's on your right before you get to Cap Red.
Correct.
So it's in the path. That's
Correct.
nice to see. Talk about a nice infill project,
Right.
right?
It's an empty lot right now.
Yep, that's great.
I believe the development team will speak to this. This, if everyone remembers, who's been around, this project previously came before the agency about 5 years ago, but unfortunately was not able to be completed. So the site has remained vacant up until this proposed project. If everybody's there, we will run through the framework analysis on a point-by-point basis. Target geography. The project is located in a high vacancy census tract. The tract is census tract 11. The project is located downtown. The project is located within a neighborhood plan, in this instance, within the boundaries of Impact Downtown and within the DRI plan, the Downtown Revitalization Initiative Plan. Under identified priority, the project is considered downtown residential. The current site is vacant. And the project is identified as a catalyst site directly within the Clinton Square DRI plan. Coming down to job creation for construction jobs, project scores 2 cumulative points for the expected 150 construction jobs on site. 1 point for the financial commitment of just over $3 million. And for the community commitment, as with the previous project, the developer is committing to utilizing 90% regional labor for the construction jobs on site. Again, before turning the floor over to the applicant with any questions that you may have, we will note that staff completed an in-depth financial analysis of the requested assistance, which was also previously distributed via our confidential materials. And as with the previous project, staff did not detect anything out of the ordinary, with returns being within the normal expected range for this area.
The only thing that struck me was the margin seemed pretty thin, but you know, I guess.
Yeah, well,
Perfect segue.
that's why I don't sleep at night. On this one, I'm moving a little bit out of that area and didn't want to miss out on this whole North Pearl and Pearl Street corridor fixing up. I really see this area in the next, say 4 to 5 years being very vibrant part of the city. When I heard about the project, it was actually in a planning meeting that I had seen it. This is Pete Tryon from Blue House Co. He works with me, does all the management of the properties. I noted it, finds the property, and we talked to Rudy. We wanted to make sure this project got done. As you see up here, it's not distinct that they're doing 2 projects at the same time near each other, and I'm doing 2 projects near each other. Part of this is to get these margins back. We're gonna leverage the next job or 2 jobs together and sort of go in tandem with each other to try to leverage some benefit for pricing, because pricing right now is high. Again, to that point about the labor, right now what we're seeing is bigger team, short amount of time, less teams. So we have to wait our turn for the timing. So when you have 2, you actually get to line them up and time them, right? But the number of people on the projects are higher, and that's how they get their margins up too. So it's been like I said, in the last 2 years, it's given everything that's happening, the whole financial structure and costing structure has changed. Also waiting for product materials too, that we can buy in quantity, we can store, and then maybe get a benefit from there. Like we've said, wood prices are coming down. We need steel next, hopefully soon. So, and then the shoring on this site too, we did a full plan. We're probably gonna overpay twice of what the previous shoring budget was on this project, hurting our margins a bit. But again, call me paranoid now, we're gonna do a full perimeter hole, so we wanna make sure all sides stay up in this building on one side. So very, very in depth, and that side will go deep and put the steel in.
And soil conditions had been cited by the previous developer
Right.
as challenges
Yeah.
with him getting that project moving.
Which is, and then double that with the changing and more expensive market. And again, having 2 sites where we have all that digging equipment here, or really lowered the price for me, given Hackett, to come over here. They have the big machines, they bring them right down the road, same crew, and dig.
Smart. Ron, is this a walk-up?
Oh, no, we have elevator.
You do?
And we put 15 spots underneath, and this is also an historic project in the historic area. So we've been working with HRC for the last 3 months, changing the outside consistently to make it, and listen, to the credit, it is better looking and more fit in the area. And there's some nice buildings up right across the street that we're matching up to very well. So this is a true, real fit into both the way it was historic and the way it is now with some of the older buildings there. Excited for it. It's and with everything, and hopefully that the walkway and the whole everything opening up over there, it's going to be a lot of business to the area.
Any other questions, comments?
Right, it's a nice looking,
It came out nice, right?
I love the terraces and, you accommodated the garage below and, like you said, I think it fits well into the immediate neighborhood.
Great.
How's the rental market for you these days?
For our buildings
Yeah,
up here, it's been unprecedented. We can't, if we had more, they'd be there.
Yeah.
We also provide a lot of security in our buildings, and I think that's been a real differentiating factor for us. We have 22 cameras, every entrance, every hallway, the street, we share it with the police department. So we have the record, it ties into their recognition software for license plates, so they have, and facial. So they have access to everything. They were just, there the other day for an incident across the street, and we had our cameras, and we were in 5 minutes, they could tie in and have it on their phones. And I think that really gives people, and we provide, the other benefit is, we do have roof decks. So people can go upstairs and get some fresh air, relax. And actually, what I've seen is a lot of food and a lot of local food gets bought and brought upstairs. So I think that just, and parking in the garage, covered, heated, with cameras. So you don't have to shove your snow off. It's a huge benefit. for people and a differentiating factor from, even from these other buildings. So so to your point also, we were told the same thing. Remember, I don't know if you remember back, but are you gonna be, I mean, Tri-City just put in 360 million apartments over there. How are you gonna,
These are the comments I get all the
how are
time.
you gonna be there? You're never gonna fill your apartments. And we took that at the heart and we designed it differently. We put some more sizable apartments in that area, and the differentiating factors. So we're a different product. And we've seen more people come from there even, just for an extra 100 square feet, again, in that area. And then these apartments, we had to differentiate the other way. So it's whatever, we are cognizant of it, and we have to think about what would add value and differentiate ourselves in the area. We're not 2,000 apartments, we're 66 there, and we're gonna be 18 here, and 39, there's nothing around on the Hack-a-Besh project. So we feel that we're there.
Ryan, how about your rents on a per square foot basis? You seeing those tick up?
They're ticking up, but I can tell you the future, going way up. I mean, inflation's coming. I don't know why everybody's hiding. I see it every day. And then wages will increase. But then all the prices underneath, for all the other things, including housing, have to increase because our prices increase, unless we keep him down. He's got to keep staff and he can't get staff. But he can't keep staff, and he has to pay the staff. He's paying staff twice as much as he was before, 6 months ago. So what he's got to pass it on to me, and then I got to figure out how to pass it on eventually. Once the people get more wages, then they can afford more. So it will tick up.
But you're saying your net number is not ticking up.
That number's fine. And to the other point of, we're leveraging these buildings even though it's still only 1.2 miles away from my other building. So I can leverage the limited staff I have to actually cover that without increasing my cost that way.
I was gonna ask,
Utilization.
there's no full-time job created in
That's
the last
why.
project. It's like, it's not one
I
building
can't
superintendent or
I
something.
can't afford it.
Right.
That was the idea originally, and that wouldn't happen with the thin margins. So I have to leverage the current staff to go building to building and accommodate that way.
All right.
Thank you.
Anybody, any other questions, comments, clarifications? All right. Hearing none, I would ask for a motion for a positive recommendation for a public hearing resolution from the full board. Tracy, Lloyd, second. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? None. All right. So we are
Thank you.
on board for a public hearing for next time.
Terrific. Thank you very much, everybody. Good seeing everybody in person.
Take care.
You too.
Thank you.
Enjoy some of the summer.
So we have no new business, I believe, leaving just the agency update.
A couple of quick things under agency update for today. Some more administrative updates. We have started, Andy's got a really good start on the annual report from 2020 activity that now that we have the OSC report has come out. You'll see the release for the OSC report next week at the full board meeting. We're gearing up to have that annual report finished. We're also, if you'll indulge us, our SBAP team, the Small Business Adaptation Program team, is the same team that is our CFA team and our COVID-19 Recovery Task Force team. And so, as you can imagine, July is a pretty insane month around here in terms of Capitalized Albany Corporation activity. We're going to have that full roll-up of the SBAP program as promised, unfortunately a month late. That is on me, pushing that back to August. So we'll bring that to you all at the same time that we bring the annual report for that. That Small Business Adaptation Program, we are still working with the applicants to sort of close up their June 30th deadline of getting all of the contracts signed and materials in, and so that is going well. Speaking of the COVID-19 Recovery Task Force, there is survey number 2 out there. We are requesting as a group, as many people take that survey as possible, and also please send that out to your constituents and colleagues. For that, we know that surveys are not the best way to reach everyone, and so as many conversations as you all can have as well about recommendations for recovering from COVID, please have those, bring them back to me, Darius, Tracy, and I all sit on that committee, so, feel free, Tony does too.
Tony
So we've
too,
got a
yeah.
huge representation here from this group, being able to provide feedback that we're hearing from the community and from constituents on that. Tying up loose ends, I have triple confirmed, thank you, Joe, that Albany County mirrors our fee structure exactly. So the recently passed
Nice.
legislation
Nice.
at New York State should not impact us unless the county chooses to make changes going forward on that front. Last but not least, some good news, a couple of things locked in. We do have the Kenmore Steuben tour for the board locked in for 2 p.m. next Tuesday. And so if you haven't responded to Mike Bone, who sent that around, please do. It'll be
Is that
exciting.
out
I
already?
think it is. If it isn't, it should be out imminently. So we do have that locked in.
May not be here.
Bummer. I'm sure we can get you in another
You
time.
know people?
I think we can probably
Okay.
get you in for that one. And then we do have a ribbon cutting for the Swinburne on Central coming up as well. That'll be exciting. I don't have that date and time in front of me, but that'll get sent out to everybody as well. So always good to celebrate successes and see good work on the ground. And with that, I think that's thank you, Andy. Most importantly, for compliance with an ABO best practice, the team is gearing up for our annual site visits. Again, we select those at random. I believe it's 10 that we do annually, selected at random. Visit the site, take some photos, make sure that the projects are still doing what they said that they were going to do. And so those are
I
going to
think
be
that's
underway
pretty important,
shortly.
actually. Yeah. It's nice to
Swinburne.
see the results of all the efforts, you know.
Absolutely.
Swinburne ribbon cutting is 10 a.m. on Wednesday. the
Thank you.
21st.
And the student tour, that was next
2 p.m. Tuesday.
Okay.
And both of those invites will go around to the whole group. So you'll have them.
We just got a lot of sales tax in.
Also good news.
10 a.m. Wednesday,
July 21st.
July 21st, yes. Swinburne.
Okay, that's all I've got.
All right. Anything else? Motion to adjourn.
Oh.
All right, second, Lloyd. All those in favor? Aye.